What is going on? Welcome to an episode of Nintendo News Daily. I'm your host, N64 Josh, and we got it's going to be a little bit of a lighter show. We got some news bites to look into. Not a whole lot, kind of some big things, but not necessarily big on the Nintendo front, but pretty big in the Pokemon front, but not Switch related. So we'll talk about it, and then we're going to kind of just look back at the first 2 years of Switch 1. And then kind of speculate on how Switch 2 might look. So that's gonna be how this show plays out. Let's play the intro. All right. Well, just a reminder, we are doing this live 3 p.m. I'm a little bit late today just because I was like kind of racking my brain trying to figure out what to do for the main topic here. So we are good to go though. I see we got some people hanging out in chat. Welcome on in. And we are doing this again, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, right here on YouTube. And if you're listening after the fact, if you get a chance to stop by the live, please do. I'd love to be able to get your input live. But of course, you can always leave a comment either on Spotify or on YouTube after the fact as well. So jumping into the news here, we got Mario and Luigi Brothership version 1.0.1 is now available, and this is we're looking at My Nintendo News right now, and it says Nintendo's latest entry in the Mario and Luigi franchise, the divisive Mario and Luigi Brothership, has recently received a new update. The latest update brings the colorful game to version 1.0.1 and includes a wealth of bug fixes. You can read the full patch notes for Mario and Luigi Brothership down below. So here we go. Bug fixes. The player couldn't acquire a Luck Charm DX even when reaching 100 or more in Hammer Rally. The damage counter for Luigi's Bros Attack Jump Helmet would only display a single number place value. Killing a Mega Snaptor with a surprise Iron Ball while having the Battle Plug Coin Flyer equipped resulted in the player earning no experience points. That's no fun. Defeating all monsters with the Battle Plug Countdown to Crush and causing multiple items to drop while completing a challenge at the same time resulted in not being able to receive challenge rewards, soft locking the game. The fifth Power Tap was able to be acquired earlier than intended. The boss battle in Colorful Sea Great Lighthouse was not occurring in the intended location, blocking game progress. Attempting to call Luigi back in the cave on Scorching Island would cause the process to recur repeatedly, blocking game progress. And players were prevented from progressing further during Idle Group's first appearance. Even on Desolate Island, additional other bugs have been fixed. So there you go. Some fixes to Mario and Luigi Brothership. I don't know if anybody in chat or anybody listening after the fact, did you run into any of these bugs? I'd love to hear from you and see. I'm not far enough along in the game to have experienced any of them, but I am very curious if any of you guys ran into this stuff. So please let me know. I see Becca is here in the chat. Welcome on in. We got some others just lurking. So glad to see you guys. Next up, My Nintendo News has a preview of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. And so here we go. Looking at the article here, it says, due to the low sales of the Wii U, there is an understandable desire to see its more noteworthy titles brought to the Switch. Nearly every Wii U exclusive has already been ported in one way or another. With one major exception. Despite being one of the more polarizing entries in the series for its greater emphasis on open world exploration rather than narrative, Xenoblade Chronicles X has been one of the most ardently wished for remasters, and one that, until recently, didn't look like we were going to see until after the launch of the Switch 2. If at all. However, against all odds, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is releasing in the Switch's final stretch, and early impressions suggest that it could be a fitting send-off for Nintendo's most successful console to date. Xenoblade Chronicles X opens with the dramatic flair that has become a trademark of Monolith Soft developed RPGs. The year 2054, and humanity is caught in the crossfire between two warring alien species, forcing them to abandon Earth to survive. Several interstellar arcs are launched, but only a few escape destruction. In one of these, the white whale crash lands on a planet known as Mira. Several life pods are scattered across the planet, including your characters, who you will create yourself from a modest selection of options. After you are awoken from stasis, your task is to explore the new world of Mira and colonize the planet for the surviving citizens of the White Whale, which has now been rechristened as New LA. And seek out the Lifehold, which houses the majority of the survivors. However, Mira is a strange and unknown planet populated with many hostile creatures, collectively referred to as indigens, and may also house more aliens with more malevolent intentions towards the survivors. Despite this explosive start, Xenoblade Chronicles X places the progression of affairs squarely on your shoulders. After being strong-armed into joining Blade, an organization which basically functions as a jack-of-all-trades handyman for the surviving populace, and choosing which division you'd like to be a part of, a largely unimportant choice that just grants you slightly better bonuses for completing specific activities, you're left to explore to your heart's content, with the story missions, objectives, a loose goal that you will need to get around to eventually. So, kind of interesting hearing, like, I didn't realize this about Xenoblade Chronicles X, that it was more open world. I'm somewhat kind of excited about this because I have been the main game I've been playing recently has been Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and my play sessions have basically gone like this. I play up until I hit a boss, and I've been trying to take stuff out and level up on the way, but then I get to the boss, I realize I'm still too underleveled by like probably just 2 levels. So then the last time I literally spent a week. Now, I was only playing for maybe an hour or 2 at a time, but I would spend that time leveling up and then go back in. And the fun thing is with Xenoblade Chronicles is I'm trying it with different teams. So like depending on the boss, I will put together a different party to see, you know, who can handle what and who might be better in this scenario and whatnot. And so it's honestly been super fun and very relaxing. Like, I don't say this as a complaint whatsoever. I know it's somewhat on me that like I have a tendency to rush, especially with RPGs, because I'm like, I want to move the story along. And so because of that, I will maybe not level up as much. And I refuse to put it on casual mode, although it's there and it'd probably be a perfect fit for me. I just want to I just want to just take my time and play it through on its regular settings here. So I see Cryptic is here, and Nady Nay, and Pokemon fan. Cryptic says Xenoblade X gonna give it to you. Can't wait. I love it. Cryptic also says seems like an MMO, like instead of traditional RPG from 1 through 3. Yeah, and I think because I've just kind of been on a Xenoblade kick recently. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being a little bit different because it may break up the monotony a little bit if I end up getting some fatigue from just playing Xenoblade. And let's see. Cryptic also says Xenoblade 1 through 3 is open world, but it's kind of like a big open zone. Yeah, exactly. Like, even though you can kind of go where you want, if you're setting your objectives, you're pretty much just heading in one direction most of the time. So at the same time, I have been having fun kind of exploring, because you get big XP boosts by finding different areas, so it really encourages exploring. And so I wasn't necessarily doing that as much early on as I'm doing it now, and so it's kind of changed the pace a little bit. And I love getting into a new zone and then seeing a big 1,000 XP drop in my lap. Like, I love that. It's definitely gets the little dopamine hits. So there's more to the article here. It says, Venturing into the world of Mira is a dangerous and exciting prospect, and there is an immensely satisfying sense of scale to it all that feels familiar, yet so otherworldly. Unnatural rock formations, exotic plant life, and clearly alien ruins at various different technological stages all litter the landscape, inviting you to explore them and unearth their secrets. Xenoblade Chronicles X frequently bucks the JRPG trend of starting you off with this small, manageable encounters before gradually introducing you to tougher opponents. Many who have played Xenoblade Chronicles will no doubt remember seeing the formidable level 81 territorial Rotbart ambling around Gore Plains. And yeah, that's one thing that's really funny about that's really funny about these games is like, usually you're used to just everything being like close to your level and then it will slowly level with you. Nah, not with Xenoblade. You'll be walking around, you'll see this like these giant monsters that are like level 96 and you're like, okay, I'll see you in 100 hours. You know, like what is going on here? It's very, very, very different. So but also like kind of makes you want to see like what can you take one of these things out with some different techniques or anything like that, and most of the time you just get one shot real fast. So taking a look here, yeah, so this kind of encounter is commonplace on Mira with colossal indigens, both benign and actively hostile, scattered throughout each segment of the map, promising a swift end should you stumble into their field of vision or hearing range. This effect is one that makes the various biomes of Mira feel more organic and open-ended, as there are no clearly defined or deliberately forced boundaries on the places you should or shouldn't be in accordance with your level. The only limit, at least initially, is whether you can physically get there or not. This is an undeniable thrill of sneaking past giant indigens, while that would snuff out your frail existence in a heartbeat to reach a new area or salvage a chunk of debris from the white whale for parts. Although it can be frustrating as it can be as frustrating as it can be rewarding at times, as more than once when in combat I was ambushed by a passing indigen that was several levels higher than my party, which saw me deposited back into the last checkpoint, often far from where I wanted to be. Combat in Xenoblade Chronicles X shares the same DNA as its predecessor, but it is notably more measured tempo, which I think is good. I feel like, because this is technically the second game after Xenoblade Chronicles, if it's Wii U. So I think having something that's a little, I do feel at times that the first game can be a little bit, it can drag a little bit when it comes to combat. So it says you'll switch between melee and ranged weapons, which is that's fun. At the tap of a button or automatically when you activate a skill that uses that specific weapon. With your potential loadouts of weapons determined by your chosen character class, most indigens have body parts that can be targeted to neutralize their more potent attacks and result in specific item drops, incentivizing a more tactical approach that is especially important if you are taking on larger adversaries who have noticeably more hit points to match their size. So that's honestly pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. So just getting into the chat here a little bit. Let's see. Do we know anything about the extra content? I'll kind of just, I'll get to the bottom here and see if, I'll kind of just skim through the rest of this to see if there's anything else that would answer that question. The game received a significant visual overhaul with sharper textures across the board and character models that match the aesthetic of other Xenoblade Chronicle titles, giving a more modern appearance. 20 hours in, and I have barely scratched the surface of Mira, and despite having played the game exhaustively on the Wii U when it first released, I still nonetheless find myself excited by what lies ahead, exploring the expansive biomes, engaged in battle with colossal alien life forms, and reconnecting with the eclectic cast of humans and friendlier alien natives has been so much more compelling thanks to the various quality of life features that have been implemented. With trailers and pre-release information promising new additional story content and characters, it's looking like the wait for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition has been worth it. Be sure to check back for our full verdict next month ahead of the game's launch on the 20th of March. So, and yeah, and they're saying that their copy was provided by Nintendo of UK. So there you go. Joey is here. What's going on? Miguel. Hello, hello, hello. Nate says, I tried watching a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles on YouTube and I fell asleep. Definitely not something for me. Nate, I feel like we have such similar likes and dislikes when it comes to gaming that I think if you could carve out a couple hours with the second game, I think it would pull you in. Because without the second game, I don't think I would be as drawn to the first game. The second game changed my perspective entirely. So that you know, because I only bring that up because I know we have such similarities when it comes to games. So taking a look here, Cryptic says, I've always enjoyed that about Xenoblade. Felt like a living world, seeing high-level gigantic monsters and starting zones. It feels intimidating. Yeah, very, very cool. Cryptix also says Pokemon Arceus tried to do the same thing, but sorry, Psyduck, I am not afraid of you no matter what level you are. Of course. Of course. I see Miguel is here as well. Welcome on in. Pokemon fan says, I feel since it seems like we aren't getting a direct for Switch 1, at least this month, unless they do it the same week as Pokemon Presents or same day, it's not happening. I feel bad for people. I wouldn't feel bad for anybody. The Switch has been out for 8 years. If they just decided to pick it up, they've got lots of great games to play. So I wouldn't worry too much about them. Miguel says, I love Pokemon Arceus, but it doesn't give me the enjoyment like the other Pokemon games like Brilliant Diamond and Black and White, but still a good game. Oh, interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, moving on in the news here. This I think is pretty cool. This is pretty cool, and it may, depending on. Okay, I'm depending on what they go for in price, I may end up picking these things up. The article reads, Nike has gone bananas with these Donkey Kong inspired trainers. That's right, guys. That's right. The worlds of gaming and footwear cross over more than you might expect, and the snazzy Pokemon X Crocs collection took our breath away last year. Bull Airs released a range of console-inspired sneakers, and even Converse got involved in the past too. But all of them pale in comparison to what Nike has been cooking up with a pair of Air Max 1s inspired by Donkey Kong Country. This news comes from footwear site Sneaker News, which reports that the Big Head Origins design is expected to launch at some point in the spring of summer period this year, though nothing has been confirmed yet. Nothing has been confirmed yet, and it is quite the design. Honestly, like these things. Let me pull up the. I'll share the so you guys can see these things. These things look good. They look really good. Like, take a look. Like, these look like something you could wear, right? Like a lot of times, I mean, don't get me wrong. I wear a Mario Kart jacket all the time. I'm wearing a Mario Kart t-shirt. But like, if you don't want something that's like that really looks like it's from a video game, these don't. These look like super clean, yet you can kind of tell they've got that Donkey Kong vibe. So, just going through the article here, it says, entering into Nike's swoosh low poly range, the sneakers have a cream mesh body with brown suede mudguards and a yellow midsole. A red low poly swoosh logo adorns the side, and even the Air Max 1 detailing on the tongue has its resolution dropped a little to really nail the retro feel. Like, I kind of love that. The swoosh looks like it was almost like from the 64. You know, which I think is just really, really cool. But the real DK goodness comes in the insole secrets. As showcased by Sneaker News, the insole is printed with a low resolution mud texture, 2 golden DS coins.swoosh play on the usual DK coins, and a couple of bananas for good measure. Just in case you still had any doubts about which character design this is based on. And they are honestly, they're really cool. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit here. So yeah, there's the coins with the banana. Look at the Nike look. Like, do you guys see the whole Nike logo is very low res, like very, very low res. Like these things are incredible. These things are amazing. I am digging everything about this, and I've slowly started kind of like collecting and wearing Nikes more than I had in the past. So I don't know. These have definitely caught my attention. You guys have to let me know what you think. M says they are giving us literally everything before the Switch 2. Yes, you are not wrong. That does seem to be the case. So, taking a look here, I just want to go through chat real quick. Pokemon fan says Legend is one of my top Pokemon games, along with Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness. Okay, all right, there we go. Joey Pitts, these shoes are for Joey, no question there. This year is going to be 20 DK. I love it. More DK, the better. Are these on your radar, Joey? You gonna pick these up? I would not be surprised. Well, it's interesting. We've had some conversation about Pokemon in the chat. Pokemon's in the news. Pokemon Go, that is. So Pokemon Go developer Niantic reportedly in talks to sell games unit, including the sale of Pokemon Go. And it's not a small number. A new report from Bloomberg claims Pokemon Go developer Niantic is apparently in talks to sell its video game business to Saudi Arabia-owned company Scopely. This deal would supposedly be announced in the coming weeks, and the sale price is expected to be around $3.5 billion. The sale would reportedly include the mobile hit Pokemon Go, but keep in mind there's no direct confirmation from Niantic at this stage, and the information comes from several people familiar with the discussions. While Niantic has experienced plenty of success with Go over the years, it's struggled to recreate this magic with any other intellectual properties, including having to cancel Harry Potter Wizards Unite and also cut its workforce. Scopely is a subsidiary of Savvy Games Group, owned by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the same fund with stake in Nintendo. So, 3.5 billion, and I'm fairly certain Niantic helped with Monster Hunter Now, which just hit their 5th season. So I honestly figured that game was doing well, and probably only assumed it was like up there with Pokemon Go as far as things were going. But I don't know the details of that deal with Capcom, Niantic, and how all that stuff works. So very, very, very interesting seeing this potentially change hands. I also wonder, what would that mean for Pokemon Go? As you know, the new company is going to want to make sure that they're getting their money's worth here. So what do they end up doing with the game, and what direction do they end up taking it? So that's kind of it for the news, you guys. It was really, really a slow news day, but our main topic for today is going to be taking a look back at the first 2 years of Switch 1, and then speculating on what we might think we're going to see from Switch 2. So we're going to go over not only the first party, but some of the second party games as well, or third party, depending, we'll just call them partner. We've got first party and we've got partners. So year 1 of Switch from Nintendo: 1-2 Switch, ARMS, Flip Wars, which I'm not sure if Flip Wars came out in the States or not. That does not sound familiar to me. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pokken Tournament DX, Super Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Snipper Clips, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So that's a list right there. That's that right there is a full year. 1-2 Switch. I mean, come on, it's like a tech demo, right? ARMS, brand new IP from Nintendo. Hopefully, we see more from ARMS. They're not done with ARMS yet, because I would love to see it go the route of Splatoon and become something that is a mainstay for the upcoming consoles. But again, flesh it out, maybe make it a little bit better. They did a really good job with the using motion and also playing with a controller if you wanted to. The game actually played better with motion than it did with a controller. And it was also like it was one of those games. It was like it's a fighting game, but it's not just like your typical like Smash or Street Fighter. It's 3D. It's so unique. It's very Nintendo. And so I hope that they have not abandoned this series and that it's something that we will continue to see with upcoming console releases. So fingers crossed on that one. But Flip Wars, I'm not even sure what this game is. I'm gonna do a quick Google search here and see what. So this looks like, okay. So it is in the States. It is a first party, apparently a first party game. Or maybe it was just published by, so it was published by Nintendo. So I'm not sure exactly who the developers were. It doesn't look like it's just from Nintendo's site. It doesn't look like it's showing me, but it's a $10 game that looks kind of like a Mario Party mini game where you're essentially trying to I don't know how's the best way to put it, like flip your tiles so that you have tiles showing at the end of the timer kind of thing. So very much a Mario Party style game. So Nate said no motion. I'm telling you, with ARMS, it was it was almost more fun to that game standing up. But they implemented the control. Most of the time I played ARMS, I didn't need motion. So my thing is like if they can do it with both, like that was one of their games where they really knocked it out of the park, being able to pull off motion and non. And I think, I mean, Mario Kart does the same thing, right? So, and what's so weird is I used to be on that fence of like no motion. I don't want to play Metroid with motion. I don't want to play, I don't want to play like Metroid Prime and what was it? The Skyward Sword, that kind of stuff. Twilight Princess, no. But ARMS felt more like a game designed for motion. And I remember I was playing with a controller while my buddy's like 6-year-old daughter was playing, and she was just destroying me. Like she was destroying me. So, but yeah, so Flip Wars is a first party, but it's like $10 on the eShop right now. So then next you got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, fantastic, right? That's really where things like just went crazy for me. I'm looking at this list though, and they don't have I'm like, it doesn't start with 1-2 Switch. It starts with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, granted, it was a Wii U game, it was a crossover, but still, Breath of the Wild is right there. Like, that's what the majority of us were playing when the Switch launched. So you've got a massive Legend of Zelda game that became a top seller. You've got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which became a top seller. Pokemon Tournament DX, or Pokken Tournament DX, was actually quite fun. A crossover between Pokemon and Tekken. And it's not a bad game at all. It's just kind of been long forgotten, unfortunately. Then you got Odyssey. Again, top seller. Splatoon 2, fantastic, was supported for at least 2 years and was great. Snipper Clips, which I don't know that a lot of people have heard of, but if that was one that you picked up early on with the Switch and you had people to play with for like couch multiplayer, so fun, like fantastic. And then you've got your massive RPG in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So like this is a this is a stellar first year with Zelda, a Mario Kart, a 3D Mario, Splatoon, a brand new IP with ARMS, a huge RPG with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And that's just first party. So taking a quick look at the chat here, looking at Cryptic's message here. It says, what do you think about the Boost Pass overall now that it's done? It lasted around 2 years, and you could only imagine what could have happened if it had started earlier and had several Boost Pass over, for 7 years. I think what happened, I think Nintendo watched the Fighter Pass for Smash and the excitement that brought to the community every time a new character was announced. And I think they just took notice. And I think because of that, they did the Mario Kart, the different waves exactly like that. And I think it's something we can expect to see moving forward. If my hope is I just want content for Mario Kart for the next Mario Kart game. I just want content for it, continued content. I don't care how it happens. If it's a battle pass, I'll buy it. If it's a booster pass, I'll buy it, right? Like, I don't know if they're going to lean into costumes and decorations on your carts and really customizing things. I don't know the directions yet, and nobody does. But all I know is that I want to play that game for as long as possible and not have to play like the same 48 courses for 8 years, and then eventually get 48 more. I'm ready for something that can stay fresh and have a very long tail. Nate says, I really hope Nintendo improves sports games. Being half-cooked started taking its toll. You're not wrong. You are not wrong at all. And it's such an interesting conversation because when you compare the sports games to their previous iterations, Mario Tennis Aces is 100 times better than the Wii U. What was it, like Ultra Smash or something along those lines? Like, it's 100 times better, yet it still doesn't get the kind of love that I would say it deserves. So I'm not sure in that department. I'm not sure what they do to fix that game more. I mean, I can think of a few things, obviously, off the top of my head, but golf, I feel like they put all of their eggs in the basket with golf on 3DS, didn't break 500,000 in sales, and then said, yo, we gotta pull back. We had license deals going on in that one. I'm not sure if they went backwards on it or what. All of the coding that went into the asynchronous tournaments and everything. And it's unfortunate because if those games had swapped, if we had got the 3DS game on Switch, which honestly I feel like would have been such a better move than Super Rush, it probably would have sold and been played so much longer. So that's where I think that one kind of fell apart. And then Strikers, it's all about that content drip feed. They needed to treat Strikers like they treat Splatoon 3 and basically do seasons. And within those seasons, there needs to be a lot of cool stuff to unlock. The carrot needs to be dangled, and they also needed to revamp the online. So there is the golf and Strikers for sure. There were ways that the unfortunate thing, the core gameplay, so solid, but not up to par with modern gaming. It just wasn't. It felt like they were a bit out of touch and trying to release a game in 2010 instead of 2018 or 2005, instead of 2018 or 2020. So it's such a bummer. Cryptic says, I didn't even think about stickers and customizing your cart so it feels like yours. That would be very cool. Imagine being able to choose your own cart color, flame color, etc., Rocket League style. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Joey says, I bet Mario Kart and others will be live service and done right. I mean, again, I'm not necessarily on the fence that says I want it to be live service because I know there's a lot of people that hate live service. All I care about at the end of the day is just having fresh content. That's it. I just want fresh content. However Nintendo decides to do it, I'm fine with. I just want the game to be supported. I cannot think, I don't think for a second it would just be a one and done. But Encryptic, to go back to your thought about like stickers and stuff like that, I totally agree. Like, because I'll be perfectly honest, looking at the cart that they showed Mario in, I wasn't a huge fan. The tanks on the side, like the overall look, it was okay. It looked somewhat reminiscent of the movie, but it also deviated away from like the standard carts that we've been using for quite some time. Now, don't get me wrong, the B Dasher also did the same thing, but the standard carts were there. So I don't know. And typically Mario is shown, I say typically, I mean, obviously the B Dasher was not a typical cart, but since then it seems like he's been more shown in his traditional cart than a different cart. So I'm just curious on, is that the standard cart for the next game? Like, does every character have a version of that's just, different logo? I don't know. There's so many questions. So many questions. So Joey says, I mean, live service sucks unless it's done right. And imagine the new character and cart every month from Nintendo, and all you need is your NSO membership. Yeah, I mean, if that was the case, if it was just tied into NSO, fantastic, right? But I think at that point too, we'd have to expect NSO to go up in price, which we were already seeing that happen in other regions. Nate says total randomly generated courses would help with new Mario Kart if it's not live service. Day, night cycles, weather, shortcut changes. Yes. Which, I mean, very much Mario Kart Tour, that's what it did. So that would help as well. Cryptic says, if you can earn all these as well instead of playing, I would prefer. And you could earn exclusive skins for participating in the Mario Kart Opens, kind of like you got the the profile icon for my account. Yeah, that's another way that they can do things too, because you got to think Nintendo has been very good about the fact that, like, if you didn't buy the DLC, you still got those tracks online. Right? So like what they're going to have to charge, like they're not going to be able to charge for tracks for online. That would split the community. I remember when Halo 2 did this, and if you didn't own the DLC, you couldn't join in matchmaking with your friends. You had to join in a different matchmaking because you didn't have the maps, right? And so that was always very frustrating when it would divide the community. So they've been very cognizant of the fact that, like, if we're gonna do DLC, it's got to be available to everybody online. Otherwise, it's gonna split the community, and nobody wants that. So Joey says, what I'm worried about, that Mario Kart 9 will do something different, like pit stops, and not be liked because it's not vanilla Mario Kart. And that's a genuine concern, right? I totally get that. I understand that. I feel like if we look at games like Super Mario Party Jamboree and Smash, Nintendo has been somewhat looking at things as a whole. You've also got to keep in mind, Mario Kart is very much in the esports programs in high schools. And Nintendo is also focusing on the Mario Kart World Championship. So I would say that as long as they've had for this game to cook, there's going to be plenty of options for us to play. So whether you want to play and this is pure speculation because we've seen like 20 seconds of this game, that like you've got like a competitive mode, you've got like your standard Mario Kart where you do your Grand Prix, and then maybe you have your open world single player, maybe you've got an open world online where you can kind of just hang out with your friends in Mario Kart and then like trigger races that then other people can be like, yo, this is triggered, I'm going to come over to this one after 30 seconds, and then people race. There's going to be lots of options with this game. I have no doubt, and I don't think anybody's going to feel left out on this one. I think as what we could probably, like, if rumors are true, this is Nintendo's their most expensive game to develop ever. And so with that much money, that much talent, and that much time, I can't imagine that Mario Kart's not going to be something that is going to have something for everybody. So let's see. Nate says, yeah, I think if they didn't do that, I think Mario Kart 8 would have died. I think we're talking about the booster. And Nate says, I think you're confusing Mario Kart 9 with Sonic Racing. Yo, that Sonic Racing looks good. Like, it looks really good. It doesn't look like it plays good to me. It looks like it plays like past Sonic games. And as much as I tried, the closest I would say, the best feeling kart game outside of Mario Kart is Crash, the Crash Team Racing. That's the one that feels good and feels like it was like, yo, we're really going to try to take on Mario Kart. Where, like, I hate that Sonic feels like it's got like 9 of the 10 things it needs to be like an absolute just killer game. So, Joey says we need a Mario Kart 9 centered episode. All right, let's do it. We'll let's plan on Friday. Friday will be strictly a Mario Kart 9 episode. So hopefully that works. You can hide out, Joey, at work for that one. So Nate said, yeah, CTR is good, but the characters suck. And I get it. I wanted to really like that game. I started to get, like, you know, to really learn the mechanic and learn the tracks and everything. But there wasn't any characters I had any like nostalgia for or anything like that. So but I think there's some real potential with that series. So Joey's got Fridays off. Nice. So if you guys want to be a part of the live show Friday, we're going to be talking all Mario Kart. Friday is just going to be strictly Mario Kart, unless there's like some big pressing news story. I mean, there's a very real chance, guys, that like before the day is out, Nintendo puts out a tweet saying, stay tuned for a direct tomorrow morning, right? Like that very much could happen. Or stay tuned for a direct Friday morning, in which case we'll have to change things up. So looking at so that was our first party games. Then we've been off on a little bit of a tangent. We'll come back. You got Mario plus Rabbids. Fantastic title. The Mario characters in a completely, like, what was that, XCOM style game? Honestly, very fun. I need to finish it. Like, I'm so close. I got so close to finishing that one, but just never did. Some other like partner games: Boost Beast, Fast RMX, which was kind of like I think was it Wipeout that was on PlayStation. You also had Golf Story, which everybody was talking about that. Gear Club Unlimited, which was and that's a mobile game, but it still played pretty decent on Switch. Namco Museum, Picross S, Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers, which was so fun. I loved having that game, and I love the art style for that game as well. And you guys aren't going to believe this. I don't even want to say the last one. Vroom in the Night Sky, you guys, is on this list. And so these were exclusive to the Switch. Okay, these were exclusive games to the Switch. Didn't even want to have to say Vroom. I know there's going to be some laughter in the chat from that one. So that was 2017. Okay, moving into 2018, you got Kirby Star Allies, which was a great, although very easy, like very like kid friendly Kirby game. Most Kirby games are. Nate says, "What's Vroom in the Night Sky?" You know. Then Mario Tennis Aces, Nintendo Labo, which, you know, Nintendo selling us cardboard, was totally out of left field and totally Nintendo. Then you got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. I couldn't put down Eevee. I played all the way through that and had an amazing time with it. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Mario Party, Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna, The Golden Country. And so, again, I mean, you're talking like so many fantastic titles in year 2. Like you got Mario Kart and Smash, a ton of Splatoon content, Super Mario Party, which wasn't all that loved, a Mario Tennis game, a Kirby game, a really good Pokemon game. And these are just the first 2 years. Like these are just the first 2 years. So Cryptic said, Josh, a speech with how much you love that game. We're talking Vroom in the Night Sky. Oh my God. This is one of the games that I get trolled by when we do like when I'll raise money for packs or whatever, and people will buy slots, they'll make me play Vroom. We've almost 100% in Vroom, or unlocked the most expensive bike, I should say, which is just like, I doubt anybody else on the planet has done that, but who knows? Maybe. Pokemon fan says the same with Let's Go Pikachu. Yeah, like I couldn't put it down. I loved it. And so like these first 2 years are like they're pretty wild, right? This is Nintendo putting everything they have into Switch to make sure that this console is moving. I mean, I don't know who doesn't have a game when it comes to this list. And I haven't even finished with the second year of Partners. You got Gal Metal, Gear Club Unlimited, Kamen Rider, ZI-O, Mercedes Saga Chronicles. I'm sorry, Mercenaries Saga Chronicles, which was a console exclusive. Monster Hunter Generations, which was that in Japan, that was cross-gen with 3DS. Namco Museum Arcade Pac-Man, which was obviously partner. Cry-Para, All Idol Perfect Stage, I don't remember this one. Soccer Slammers, I don't remember it. What was it? Taiko no Tatsujin or something like that. The Drum and Fun. Do you guys remember this one? And then The World Ends With You. So you got Monster Hunter, and from Capcom, you've got The World Ends With You from, I believe, Square, which was a DS game. So they're hitting so many incredible games in the first 2 years. Cryptic says, dude, Generations was awesome. It was like Smash Ultimate of Monster Hunter games. So good. Yeah. I mean, I played with my son a lot. Like Generations was probably the Monster Hunter Switch game that him and I played the most. So Nate says, it's funny. I was looking at the Direct announcement for 4.2 and it says nothing about software. It just says Nintendo Direct Switch 2. Yeah. They have to show something, right? Because if they're going to showcase what some of the like gimmicks are, they're going to have to show the software to go with it. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So back to this list, like the third-party games that are the third-party companies. You got Namco, you got Capcom with Street Fighter and Monster Hunter. You got Ubisoft with Mario plus Rabbids. And you've got Square with The World Ends With You. Okay, so that's essentially the third party, and these are just exclusives. Okay, these are console exclusives. So that's excluding like FIFA was on here, and I don't remember what year Doom came out from Bethesda, and then now Xbox, but so because there was like. We were seeing some of these like The Witcher and early on, Skyrim. There was more here. Like these are pretty massive lists, honestly. And these are just the exclusives. I don't know. Like, I feel like this list will probably be smaller the first 2 years of the Switch too, but only because the exclusives for the Switch are going to be far more just first party, as my assumption. And we're going to be seeing games that are on, games like Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII Remake that will be on Switch also, which I think is fantastic. I think it's good. And I think so, albeit these exclusive games maybe shorter lists, I have a feeling the lists are going to be the same size or possibly bigger when it comes to year 1 and 2 of Switch 2. I do think that we are going to be surprised. Do I think we get like a new Smash game within the first 2 years? I don't know. I don't know how long they've been working on one, if they have been. If it's more of a deluxe version of Ultimate and they're just going to add, better net code, make some tweaks to all of the characters. Like, Mario could use a few updates to some of his movesets, perhaps, like from just taking things from Wonder, or maybe adding even more from Odyssey, or potentially Bowser's Fury, something along those lines. Samus could definitely use an upgrade with what we saw from her in Metroid Dread, and so there could be some new moves in that department, plus new characters with as friendly as Xbox and Nintendo are now, like getting Master Chief and maybe Joanna Dark even, which would be such a fun throwback, because Perfect Dark, although we didn't see Joanna in Smash Brothers Melee, one of the trophies was the proximity mine from Perfect Dark. And so it would be great to see some of, even like Marcus Phoenix would be pretty crazy, right? And you've also got, like, we basically have Breath of the Wild Link, so could we also get Tears of the Kingdom Link? How would that work? There's a lot of questions there as well. So Joey Pitt says DK could use a moveset redo and add Dixie. Yeah, get a bunch of the Kongs in there. No doubt. Cryptic says, I expect a ton of indies as well. I remember playing like Snake Pass, Katana Zero early on, and they were great to fill time waiting for first parties. They revived Blaster Master and Blaster Master Zero earlier on in the Switch, and that was very fun. Yeah, and there was also, I don't have it in front of me, but it was very much a Mega Man style game. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but it was tied to that. At one point, it was tied to that Mega Man clone that ended up not doing super well, right? But then they came out with like a crossover game between that game and this other game that I'm talking about, and I want to say it has X in the title, but I don't even know what to Google. Gunvolt, there it is. I'm like, I can't remember the name at all, but yes, Gunvolt. And it had that it had that other Mega Man clone that the game kind of tanked, but then was a little bit better when it crossed over with Gunvolt. Gunvolt was fantastic. Gunvolt was great on 3DS and super fun on Switch as well. Like indies have been so good on Switch. It's just been, there's been too much garbage get thrown into the eShop that a lot of the good stuff gets missed, unfortunately. So. Which I hate to see that, but that's the case, unfortunately. Again, so if within the first 2 years, Nintendo can get like even a fraction of these first party games back on Switch 2, plus massive titles like Final Fantasy and if Doom, the Dark Ages can run on Switch 2, the new Monster Hunter Wilds, like we're talking about a really, really great first 2 years. Pokemon fans saying Animal Crossing. Tom Dank says Blaster Master kicked my butt on the NES back in the day. Oh yeah. And right, and we haven't even, like, we still have the 40th anniversary of Mario. So like we could get a lot of Mario stuff within this next fiscal year from the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. So there's so much here. And I think I think my hope is this. History has shown us that a lot of these gaming companies, a lot of these the big three, coming off of massive success, they end up making a lot of poor choices. I would say the most successful from console success to console success has been PS4 to PS5, but there weren't a lot of PS5s in the wild. And then so they sold quickly. There's a lot out in the wild, but there's not a lot of software. Like that's where they started to drop the ball, is in the software department when it comes to the PS5. Nintendo has the playbook in front of them with what the first 2 years of Switch 2 needs to look like. And I just hope that that in this case, that history does repeat itself, and that they don't follow the typical fashion of like, hey, we had a really successful launch, or a really successful last console. Let's see. I almost feel at times it's like, let's see how much we can milk out of the consumer with our brand equity now. We can't have that. Otherwise, it's gonna be this slow decline of Nintendo. And they need to look at their playbook right here, and it needs to represent and be very similar to this. Very similar to this. Yeah. Tom says tons of PS5s rotting on the shelves in my area. Took years to see PS5s in general. Yep. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at the initial sales, like PS5 has sold well. It's sold better. The console has sold better than the PS4 as far as like its lifespan and how long it's taken to get to those numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me to say it's like what they are exactly, but it has dramatically fallen off. Like dramatically fallen off. And Sony's doing this weird thing where they're just focusing on remakes. Back from the 360 to the Xbox One, you had Microsoft going, hey, let's really focus on TV and the Kinect and charge an extra $100 more than the PS4. And Sony ate their lunch. And so then they started losing the deals to like with Call of Duty and things like that. And that was rough. That was a rough time, and Xbox has been an uphill battle ever since. I don't want to see Nintendo get to that place. As Nintendo fans, we're all hoping for basically a redo of 2017 and 2018 when it comes to Switch 2, because we were eating well. It was a fun time. If you remember coming off the Wii U, where Nintendo was hungry to get back into this fight, that's the hunger that they need to still have, even though they're very much in the fight and in most cases winning the fight. They need to step on that gas even more. And that's my hope, is that they will look at their playbook right here and just follow suit, and I think with the potential of much larger third parties now being able to put their games on here and have them actually look good and run well, hypothetically anyway, plus Nintendo's magic with their first parties, it's an absolute recipe for success. It's just a matter of seeing them execute it. So Cryptic says, when companies do well, that's when they have fun with their games. Marvel Alliance, etc. Astrobot on PlayStation. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, fantastic. Rivals is hot right now. Although it's in the news for some not so great things with laying off their team in Seattle. But Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4, let's make that a reality. Like, that would be fantastic. It would be so good to see at the April 2nd Direct, to see that a new Ultimate Alliance is coming out. The first one was great. Was so good. And so there's so much potential for Nintendo to continue knocking it out of the park and keep. And I mean, think about it. These last 2 years, albeit we've still had some great games, it's been a little slow. right? It's been a little slow compared to 2017, 2018, looking at 2019 even. Like, Nintendo went crazy in 2019. Astral Chain, Box Boy, Cadence of Hyrule, Link's Awakening, Brain Training, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Fitness Boxing, Luigi's Mansion 3, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, New Super Mario Bros. U, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Ring Fit Adventure, Super Mario Maker 2, Super Kirby Clash, The Stretchers, Tetris 99, and Yoshi's Crafted World. Ooh, that's just first party. That's just first party. And so, you know, it's no wonder, like, they kind of trained us to kind of expect these crazy years. And if I'm looking at the list right now, like 2022 was the smallest. You still had some bangers in here, but it was the smallest, but that's bigger third party. So you had a little bit bigger third party. 2023, still good, but we started getting into some games that, like, although they're first party published, they were a little more niche. Remember, we started using that word niche on the show. If you guys have been listening for a long time, we started using I did. I don't remember who that bothered, Nate. I don't know who was bothered by that, but as soon as I said it, I was like, somebody's gonna be bothered by that. They were just a little more, like, again, a little more niche. Fitness Boxing, Ring Fit, you know, Detective Pikachu, Metroid Prime, Pikmin 4. Super Mario RPG, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, you know, WarioWare Move It, again, kind of niche. Wonder and RPG, like RPG, probably a little more niche. But Super Mario Brothers Wonder, I mean, obviously going to sell like through the roof. Xenoblade 3. So, you know, we did have some more of those niche titles. And I feel like 2024, you had like Another Code. Like, did anybody even play that? Endless Ocean, Fitness Boxing. And those were like the first 3 months coming into 2024. And then you had Mario versus Donkey Kong, which was fun, but it was like, this doesn't feel like a full Nintendo experience, right? And then you had Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, the DLC for Pokemon, Princess Peach Showtime, Splatoon 3, Side Order, Echoes of Wisdom, Mario Party Jamboree, Brothership, Luigi's Mansion 2, which was a remake. NES World Championships was a very pleasant surprise, but then Fitness Boxing and Emio, like, you could tell they're saving their big hitters for something, right? Like, over the last 2 years, I would say it feels like a lot of the big hitters are being saved. Super Mario Party Jamboree was so good, Pokemon fan. Still is. So, Gaston says, I hope to see Golden Sun for Switch 2. Yes. Yeah, I have not really experienced those games, but I know they are loved. They are loved. And I believe they are on NSO, so I should give it a shot at some point. So, but Cryptic says Peach Showtime. Oh, yes. Pokemon fan says Endless Ocean stunk compared to the ones on the Wii. And I never played Endless Ocean. I bought it and my daughter took it immediately. So one day I might get that back from her, but we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know about that. But well, guys, we are over the 1 hour mark. So thank you so much for tuning in live. Again, we're doing this 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. These have been super, super fun. Just so stoked to see so many of you guys showing up for the live show. It really, really does make me happy. Before we end, Nate put up, Mario Wonder is one of those games that I see constantly selling. Quick, massive sales, but definitely can still slow burn throughout the years. Oh, yes. Yeah, no question. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of these games get deluxe versions, possibly. Maybe with extra content, if Nintendo goes that route. I hope. What I don't want to see, like, for instance, you take Super Mario 3D World. and the addition of Bowser's Fury made that a package worth picking up. It's already a fantastic game in and of itself, but when you add another 3D Mario game to it, it's great. So I just don't want them to do the, like, I saw the comparison of Days Gone for the remaster that Sony is working on. You can't even tell what, like, side-by-side screenshots are not doing it justice. It's kind of unfortunate. So I don't want to see Nintendo go too far down that path, especially since a lot of these games are playable. Maybe there's an upgrade path for some of these things where if, like, for, you know, $5, $10, you can get the 4K up-res and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be a far better way for them to go. So Pokemon Fan says, I want Tomodachi Life for the Switch or Switch 2 or both. Yes. My daughters would, like, lose it if I told them that Tomodachi Life was coming to Switch. So I see Raymond is here. Welcome. We are wrapping up, you guys. Thanks again so much for being here. We're going to hit the outro and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.